All right, hey guys. Happy Friday. We made it. Somehow. Somehow we made it. Another amazing week, I hope, for all of you. Hope it was good enough. I got up this morning at hi Brittany. I got up this morning at 4 something this morning. Hey Ma, just up. And my mind was racing with ideas and things I needed to do. And let me add Brittany. And so I'm excited for today's conversation because there's so much excitement going on pre-elections, so much excitement for Black businesses and what that might mean for us. There's so much we can talk about. So I'm excited. So today we're talking to Brittany Bygrave. She's the founder of Buttered Body Care. So I'm going to go ahead and add her in. Okay, I think I did this right. And we should see her in a little bit.
Huh?
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Happy Friday.
Good. I know. TGIF.
Long sigh of relief.
I
Um,
know.
hey, Mom. Not like it always means we get a break or anything, but it's nice that we made it through another week.
You know what's funny? I say that all the time, but literally my body shuts down. Like, I don't know why. Um,
Is it? It's a Friday thing. I don't know. I feel the same way. I feel like Fridays, I try to give myself like a half, three-fourths of a day versus
mm,
a whole day. And I think that's why I woke up earlier this morning because, like, subconsciously, I wanted to end my day earlier.
right.
So, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and get up because my brain won't let me rest and get some stuff knocked out so I
hmm
can clear my head. So, I understand. How was your week, though?
It was good. I'm playing catch up this week because
Yeah.
I was traveling the last 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm gonna catch up on some stuff this weekend, but I always try to take today to just like lounge just a little bit. But yeah, how was your week?
This week was good. Good. Kind of the same. Like, it was a busy, like, it's a full week. Like, I'm looking at my planner right now just to even remind
Yeah,
myself what all this week was.
yeah.
And it looks crazy. Like, looking at it, I would I would think something was like sincerely wrong with this individual. Yeah, because each day I try to keep it pretty clear other than like set meeting times or like deadlines, grant application deadlines. So I try to keep it clear, but as the day goes on, it kind of you adding in
Yeah.
stuff and you're like, "Oh wait, let me move this meeting this." So I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Wow." But overall a good week.
hmm
And I'm excited cuz this week I had probably the most conversations with other founder friends, and so that was really nice to like reconnect with everybody, see how we're doing. I know it's been like a really interesting
Yeah.
time. um, and we were talking about like what can we do for September for self-care and self-awareness and all that fun stuff, and I was like, let's just talk to other founders because we need the self-care too, and like checking in on each other and just seeing how we can help each other and continue to support each other. So I appreciate you taking time to
Of
do this.
course.
I really
Always.
do. So please tell us how you started. I know we're talking everything from, the start through the process of, manufacturing and learning all those hard lessons as we learn.
Mhm.
But please give us your background and how you founded Buttered Body Care.
Yes. So I started Buttered formally in 2021. We're the next generation of body care, catering to dry and melanated skin. Initially, I started creating products for myself because I deal with eczema, and at the time when I was like in my teens, there was really not many products that really worked for my skin, let alone just felt good and luxurious. And of course, like during that time, that's when natural ingredients became a thing. And then I just naturally gravitated towards that, started creating products for my body, my shampoo, my conditioner, things like that. So I really took a liking to that. And eventually started making products for myself, and then others in my community. In college, I was making products out of my dorm room. So really, really much like a scrap start.
By the way.
Exactly. But yeah, it's been a fun journey and a fruitful one. So
Were
yeah.
you already in school for anything in the cosmetic industry?
No, I was actually going into school my first year undeclared. I did not know what I wanted to do. And then generally business. I was like, okay. But then I changed my concentration to entrepreneurship, and I did
Mm,
all things without even having a business. I knew where my mind wanted to do. I knew I was creative in that sense. So I ended up graduating, with an entrepreneurship
that's
degree.
awesome. Well, that worked out.
I know. Exactly. Full
So
circle.
what were some of those early challenges? Because I know I'm product based too, and it is a lot sometimes. But what were some of the early challenges that you had, and kind of what got you over those humps?
Um, some early challenges. I think for me, I had an issue with like focusing on one thing. Like I was just talking about this yesterday where yeah, we were doing body butters at the time, but people would ask for a shampoo or a lip
Yeah,
thing or something like that. And I just got lost. I never launched those products, obviously, but I eventually thought I would. I thought I would be this mass, like, brand that did everything. And that's not necessarily how businesses operate.
yeah,
One, even into like a year ago, 2 years ago, I finally just sat on, hey, we're
yeah,
moisturizers. Like when people come to me about a conditioner or I don't know, anything else, I'm like, think of Vaseline,
yeah.
think of
Um,
Jergens. They're not in so many different categories. They really dominate one specific one aisle, I call it. So that's really something that would have saved me a lot of thinking power, doing power, conversations, and frankly, just a challenge on like my business mindset at the time.
yeah,
Um, to others, I think for me, we're always going to say funding. Everything, everything always goes back to funding. I
mm-hmm.
know it's like all we just started getting grants like a year and a half ago, but I started everything from my savings account, any credit cards, anything I can get a hold on. The obviously the business revenue went straight back into the company, and that was an extreme challenge because I did not pay myself for a very long time. I just started to, so it that is challenging because you're doing all of this work. As we're talking about, the work doesn't stop at all, but of course we need to like pay ourselves and make sure we're okay in the process of building our
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah. So let's go back to, and I want to come back to funding. We're always going to come back to funding.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
we're going to come back to funding.
Yeah.
Um, you talked about like product diversification, and it's funny that you mentioned that because that was my exact thing too. Was that when I started, I just was DIY again, like outside of from my house, and it was during COVID, and I started on Etsy, and people are very engaged, so they're asking questions, they want to know more, like, hey, can you make this? Because this, we're making scalp care, and they're like, oh, well, I have this on my face. Can you make me something for that? And for me, it was fun. I was like, yeah, sure. And
Mm-hmm.
start getting into the manufacturing process and learning about your minimum order quantities and the packaging and the barcodes. And I'm like, oh, we're going
Yeah.
to slow this down. We're going to slow this down. And crowdfunding and all of that helped. But it's still one of those things, even now, where I'm like, okay, I think we've got a good core of
Mm-hmm.
what started. Let's stick with that core. And until the fundraising goal gets met or a miracle happens, we're going to stick with what we have, and we're going to grow that and grow our community around that. But I love what you mentioned there. So now back to that early funding, and how did you decide like what type of funding you were going to go after in those, was it grants? Was it pitch competitions? Like what did you seek out for that funding support?
Um, Firstly, grants. I don't know if you remember when like 2020 happened.
Do I?
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening at the time,
Yeah.
grant wise, like funding for Black business. So that's when I took my first go around or took my shot when it came to grants. I actually didn't end up getting any until um probably like a year. I got my first one, but I was applying nonstop. Like I every major grant you see, I have an application, whether it be from 2020 or 2021. Granted, we're not the brand we are now, but still a testament to like how much I needed funding and how much I was willing to apply, and also pitch competitions as well. I kind of put them in the same boat because both of them are like non-dilutive funding, but it was that was the goal, and that is the goal, is to be going like the non-dilutive route as long as I can, until of course I'm ready to fundraise. I'm currently not fundraising.
Gotcha. Can you give us an idea of like that process for you going from DIY in your dorm, which is amazing. I wish I knew the things about business I know now when I was in college, because the hustle that I had, that energy that you have, the community, you're seeing your friends and stuff every day versus you're like your community is there. You can build
Yeah.
it right there. But can you talk about that journey from dorm room to manufacturing?
Absolutely. So yes, and that's all good points and things I didn't realize in the moment, like having community, your friends right there, like literally within 5,
Yeah.
which is very, very rare in real, actual adult life. Yes, I did start in my dorm room. I was making products on a desk that I should be studying on. I had a tablecloth and had 2 mixers, and it would be really noisy and it was just chaotic. But that's what I could do at the time. And I did that for a year and a half. And it was manageable, I would say. But, if we'd had like a major sale, it would take over my entire
Yeah.
apartment at the time. Um, is the sound? Can everyone hear me?
You, I don't know, she may just have to Miss
Okay.
P, you might just have to hop out and come back in. That's my mama.
Uh,
You might just have to hop out and come back in, okay, if your phone is frozen. But we'll still be here. We'll be here. We're live.
sure. Okay, cool. Um, but yes, it used to take over my entire apartment at times. So, uh, and it was just me. So it was very, very difficult to manage. Transitioning into manufacturing, we actually still do the products in
That's all.
house still. Yeah, and to your point earlier, to like the minimum order quantities and things
Mhm.
like labor costs are really high right now. And of course, I think I consider it every 6 months or so just to see what is possible and always have, those continuous relationships for when we do
Yeah.
get a manufacturer. But yeah, it's just scaling slowly the operations. I don't want to make too many products at once and of course not have enough.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my challenge day to day happening. But yeah, it was a gradual process to, of course, our growth, and like every ounce of funding I would get, um, something like a bulk of inventory coming in, or that would eventually lower the cost of the product in itself. So like slow, gradual changes when it comes to operations really helps, sustain our current growth.
Yeah, I think that's been a theme for most of the founder, especially product-based founders that I'm talking to, is that's the theme right now, is just being really mindful of pace.
Right.
What pace is going to be healthy for longevity, because I think 2020, that initial drive and push for black businesses to and for black retailers to be accountable for representation, and that's important, that should never go away, and I
Yeah.
love that did that. But seeing that in 2020 and that drive and that push for black businesses to be in retail, but and I'm grateful for those that had started back in like 2010, 2012, because we could learn from their journey, and a lot of them who were newer, maybe even started 2014 and after, up until that retail push and they get on shelf, they
Mhm.
have they have the community built. They have some funding behind them. They have
Yep.
some years and years of traction to support them on shelf. Whereas if you did start in 2020 and you didn't get that maybe 500K to a million in a pre-seed or seed, which most Black first-time founders, ain't nobody was cutting checks like that for us. You have to really be mindful of your pace.
Yeah.
And I think the retailers who have opened up their online retail is really great, because then you can kind of get your feet wet first. I know for us, it's been helpful for me to get my feet wet first and see how it works with like their their promotion calendars, and how that works with our promotion calendar, and cash flow and all of that. So that way, not because we are fundraising, it's like, okay, it's a very clear goal, but there's a very clear purpose where those funds would need to go,
Mm,
um, for us to grow and be sustainable there. What's been the highest high for you so far as a founder?
good one. Highest high.
Yeah.
Um, what is the highest high? I Can I say Black Emission? I mean, that was a
Uh,
great day for me. And like I
I
kept
cried.
yeah, I kept saying like I don't do this to be celebrated. Like I'm not in
Yeah.
business to be celebrated, or I am the face, but I didn't do it to be the face, you know. But like those very few moments where we're like high fiving each other,
Yeah.
that um and that happens when we have conversations like this, and we get together over dinner and things like that. But it felt like a graduation day, and it was
Yeah.
that good vibe. Obviously not my highest high in my life, but in my founder life for sure it was very much a pat on the back moment for like all the DIY things I've done and the mistakes and things like that. It
Yeah.
was very. What about you? Curious.
Um, I think my highest high, I definitely cried when I got the "You're finalist"
Yeah.
email. That was amazing. Cause I had replied before and didn't get it. I got to like the semifinal round and didn't get to final.
Oh,
And so the second time when I got to final, I was like, oh my God, yay, we did it. But I think the highest high so far, honestly, and anytime I complete something, I'm like, huh.
yeah. Right.
Um, like, thank you, Jesus. We got through that. Like crowdfunding, I don't ever want to have to do it again. I don't ever want to do it again. It was a great lesson my first time doing it. But the feeling that I had when we finished that crowdfund campaign and I wasn't on it every single day anymore, that was amazing. But I think the highest high was probably the Aveeno and Essence grant.
Mm,
Um, because their team was also just so supportive. Like after the win, they were willing to like listen to me, have some sessions with me, and that was my first, like, I guess big, like that was the biggest check we've ever received, and it got me through like a year and a half of business.
amazing.
I learned a lot in that year and a half or so, and it just opened up some doors, I guess, for like Essence, getting to like be on the Essence Festival stage. Like I've been, as I mean, I live here in New Orleans, so for me that was like the biggest deal ever, because we all the Essence is just like a part of our summer,
Yeah.
like what you look forward to. But to be on the stage for something like my little business, like my little baby, like, oh, thank you. So that was probably my highest high so
I
far.
love
Like,
that's a
yeah, cool one. That was a cool one. So you talked about starting in your dorm room, and then um, now continuing to do your own in-house manufacturing, which is amazing. Very good cost saving. Keep it up as long as you possibly
yeah.
can. My
Mhm.
advice. But what's been the biggest investment of your time now that because you are doing a lot? Is it the marketing? Is it the product development? Is it team building? Or is it just time for yourself? Like what takes that time from you the most?
Um, I would say for me, marketing, honestly,
Yeah.
because it's a huge driver to, of course, the success of the business. So that's pretty much. I was gonna say time suck, but it really it
Yeah.
like every email.
It's
every every text message sent, every Instagram post, every uh, email back thanking them for their review. All of these
yeah,
things that seem mundane really matter in the long run,
yeah,
and I should see it as an investment. In the moment, I'm like, but
yeah.
it moves the needle forward. And for the first 2 years, 2.5 years, we did not do any advertising. So you can imagine how much, and partly that's why I'm so much heavily invested in like the marketing and everything, because that's what grew the business. Like that, like the relationship I have with my top customers, my new customers, is why I'm sitting here right now. So that is, yeah, I think that's the major investment, the time into like catering to our customers and our brand.
That's awesome. I guess that's like a non-negotiable. It's that those little things, especially because we're consumers too. And if there's a brand that I really love and there's a product that I love, I want
Mhm.
to hear from them. Like, if I've spent money with your company, like I want to hear from you. Um,
Mhm.
and taking the time to make a review, that's always something for me that has been a motivator. Is like when I'm looking at the reviews, and even when we get like customer service reviews or questions or inquiries, like one of those things where I'm like, wow, like you actually care, you took the time to send me a question, like
Right.
thank you, I'm on the right track with something, somebody else
Mhm.
cares. So I think that's important that you're building that community and you're doing that B2B as well. So talk to us, because you're in AMP Beauty, Target. um there's another I'm missing, so tell us your B2B partners that you have and how that came to be.
Yeah, so recently it's been Amazon, AMP, Target.com through AMP. What else? We were on the Walmart Marketplace for a while.
Mhm.
Then I'm forgetting so many. So I just collaborated with my college campus, North Carolina.
Aw.
That's the latest partner. And we also have one partner in the DMV area announcing next Friday, which I'm
Yeah.
excited about. Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
That's awesome. Congratulations.
thank you
That's
so much.
that part of the strategy to grow more B2B partners, or you like how's your D2C? Because I know right now for us, as much as I want more B2B accounts, it's a challenge because of the inventory, like the
Mm.
flow and make have enough of what we need. So how is that? Is that something that you're a goal of yours, is to continue to grow that?
Yeah, that is a great point. And I had a conversation on Thursday about that exact thing, like how to maintain projections and making sure we have enough inventory to supply all of the accounts that I literally just said.
Yeah.
Um, thanks. Um, that is the challenge. So I do have like a spreadsheet of like based on their first orders, what I can project the next order would be, and then I'm going from there from like every account, which is difficult to manage, but still it has to happen. Most of the partnerships I mentioned were online, which helps manage inventory, especially with Amazon. Um, but like the in-store retail, that's the challenge, of course, how often they're going to order, how many products they're going to order, what audience wants, a specific product more than the other. That only I can't guess. Like time will literally have to tell. Um, but yes, to that is literally a challenge I'm going through right now. So yeah.
Yeah. And you're a solo founder, right?
Yeah, I have a advisor that helps out on the retail and marketing side as well. And then I have one other gal who helps with content, and then I have a VA. She's awesome,
That's
girl. Yeah.
yeah, that listen, if I have to do VA intern, um, we try, we did. It's so funny. This summer we did a partnership with Youth Force NOLA out of New Orleans, and it was like high school interns, and all really interested in the cosmetic industry or dermatology or marketing, creating their own businesses. And I'm
Mhm.
like, in high school. Like I love that drive, that like that early ambition, and to really get into a business early and figure out what it is that you need. Because a lot of times you start and you really don't know what you need until you need it as you're building it. If you don't already have that business background or MBA or experience building a company or watching someone build a company, how
Right.
important has your own advisors or like accelerators and incubators, how important have those been in your journey so far?
Um, very, very important. Everything I
Mhm.
know now is because someone taught me, told me, showed me something that opened my horizon and like gave me a little bit more business acumen. And I love that you collaborate with like high schoolers too, because I like
It was
to your point,
interesting.
yeah, they have energy. Like they
Yeah.
have no like areas of failure or nothing really telling them no. Everyone around them is like hopefully encouraging to what they want to do. And
Mhm.
I love like I just love that because I was that student. I was very much a curiosity type of person.
Yeah.
Hence why I went to undergrad undeclared because I just didn't know. But I was curious and like had an idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, mentorship has literally, specifically with accelerators, I think pairing businesses based on where they're at to like a mentor that can understand and resonate is very, very important. I really haven't had to reach out like cold outreach on like LinkedIn to mentors. It's been like a warm connection or a program that connected us, which I'm thankful for. It's not the case for a lot of founders, but that also adds another layer of like empathy. Like none of my founder or mentors are like, do this, do that. You're horrible at this. You're horrible at. They understand, and I think that is what I look for in like mentors. You can give it to me direct, but make sure you understand why I think this way and how I work.
Yeah.
Um, I think I am of course a solo founder, but I don't feel that way because if I
Mhm.
need something, I there's a resource somewhere that can help me.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
that's important. And I think we get a lot of good perspective from advisors. Like, I think sometimes people do think that your advisors should just tell you what to do and what not to do.
right.
But it is your business, it is your decision. They can tell you to avoid some fires here and there. But I love that they more so kind of teach you how to think
Yeah,
about things and how to see the bigger picture of things. And that's so key because you can take that advice from your business now to the next business, the next one, and so forth. So let's get to the eczema piece because I know this was the catalyst for you for starting. It was the catalyst for me as well. What was it about your experiences with the other skincare products that was causing such a problem? You were like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it myself. Like I'm gonna figure it out myself.
yeah. Essentially, so no one in my family has eczema. So essentially, I was like, why am I dealing with this if no one else in my family is dealing with this? And then I think that's like a under layer of like me feeling more alone because no one outwardly is saying, "Oh, I have eczema too." My mom was like, "What are you talking about? Let's try this thing I saw on a commercial," and it was kind of that. And like, of course, being a teenager, you're walking down a beauty aisle in the store, everything is in a white package, basically looks the same, and I would just kind of guesstimate on. I didn't know anything about these products, but I just prayed that something worked. And things, I'm not going to say no product ever worked for me, but they would work for a select amount of time, and then my flare up would come back, or the season would turn and I need to switch to another product. So that continuously kept happening for I don't even know how long. It feels like my entire teenage life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like when I discovered particularly like the yellow shea butter. I think that's a different grade of what we use now. But at the time, to me, it's like, oh, I need the yellow shea butter in the big tube, and I would add my little things to it, and put it on my back because that's typically where I flare up the most. And it was like heaven. Like no matter what season, no matter what I was wearing, it just worked. And I became obsessed with it for me personally.
Yeah.
And that's kind of started everything from like my interest. Like maybe I could put this in my hair, on my lips. And it just led me to be that curious teenager that I think we all deserve to be. So yeah, that's kind of my journey through that. And also outside of having eczema itself, my confidence like shot through the roof. Because you can imagine, teenager, you got I had braces and all the. I'm like, yeah. Out of that, I just felt like a different girl,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately what I would want anybody to feel like, when they use their favorite products. So yeah,
That like you're very connected to your product and the problem that your customers have. um,
yeah,
I love that. That makes a difference, and I think that's what people kind of expect now, because we're very vocal as forward facing founders, like, this was the problem I had, this is why it was important, and this is a solution I can offer you. And how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about being the face of your brand? Do you want to continue to be the face of your brand forever? Like, what do you feel?
yeah. Good questions. Questions I ask myself all the time. I play
Questions
it.
I'll ask ourselves, trust me.
Yeah, I do enjoy it now. As I pick up like more responsibilities, it gets a little bit tougher too. But as I like delegate some of the things I'm doing that I don't have to be doing as a solo founder, um, that that is my thing. Like I want to fly somewhere, interact with customers here. I'll demo, I'll speak one on one, I'll do the phone calls. I'll do that all day to push the business forward. Today, I just do everything. And, I can't keep doing that. So I do want to continue being the face as my workload gets lighter. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm fully like in support of it. I feel like most of the recent exits of like the black brands like Honey Pod and Mayel, they're been the face for over 10 years. Or the Lip Bar, who's pretty really successful. Like
Yeah.
they've been faces of the brands their stories have for years.
Right.
So I think that's, to your point, expected these days for these new businesses to have some type of substance and foundation when it comes to the founder and the story.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I think too, because the world is so, for example, I found out one of the companies that I was very interested in using for our back end, like data tracking,
Mhm.
and all the changes with iOS 14 updates from the digital, that whole thing. And so there was this dashboard that would help you with attribution, and you could track your ads and make sure they're performing correctly and all this stuff. But I found out that the owner supports things that I don't really support. And I had this thing of like, but I like the tool, but there are alternatives to the tool. But then there's this founder I'm not feeling, and I don't know if I want to put in my money there. So I feel like there's a lot of socially conscious consumers now. You have a fan down there. Thanks for joining. And y'all feel free to ask questions down there. We're gonna wrap up very shortly. But yeah, I think they're just very conscious, and so they want to know who's the face, who's the person, what's the story. So it's really great that you're comfortable
Yeah.
with that. So before we wrap up, though, I do want to hear there's a couple things. I definitely want to know what's coming next for you and all that good stuff. But how have you been able to kind of pour into yourself during your founder journey? Because it is Self-Care September. We're almost to Eczema Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Next, we're knocking out both. But what do you do for self-care, like, to really make it matter?
Yeah. To me, thank you. To me, self care is stillness and being very, very reflective and present. Things I do, I journal a lot, especially like something monumental happens to me or pivotal rather. I'm writing it down so I can go back to it later. I don't know if you journal, but I'm yeah. I went back to my journal last year, like when I was winning everything, and I it was like such a sweet, like, emotional moment, and I think that is really healing for us entrepreneurs to have and do and document as much as possible. So I do that often. Other things, I am very much a cooker. Like, I love cooking myself lunch and dinner. I was just telling someone else earlier, like, since I've been traveling so much, I've been doing Uber Eats and just out and trying to be social, but I never get the stillness that I love outside of like cooking. And I think that goes to my DIY days too, like making the products myself. I kind of it's kind of a similarity there to like now constructing this meal from scratch for myself and making it really healthy and fruitful. So I pour into myself that way. Um, and I think I really see my family a lot. Like, I don't live at home, but I try to go back like monthly for a week or so just to reconnect and check in with everyone around me that's not a founder or in my crazy world. I think that grounds me and kind of aids to my self care as well. So, yeah.
That's so, well, all of the above is amazing. I absolutely am an advocate for journaling. I love journaling. When I was in the school system, I was a school social worker, and that was like the first thing I would buy for all of my kids. It's like, you need a journal.
Mm,
This is your safe place. It is yours. I love that. I love the cooking.
yeah.
I feel definitely be therapeutic. Like, don't come around here. I'm cooking right now. Like, this is my time. This is my time. I got my stuff. I got my system here,
Hmm.
which I love. And just being consistent with that. One of my advisors, well, she's not a recurring advisor. I got a chance to talk to her. She's a very successful entrepreneur. And I asked her that kind of question. And she said something very similar in terms of like, when I'm with my family or if I go back and visit or I'm with friends, I do not want you to ask me about my business. Like, don't ask me. Unless just, how are things going? Okay, they're going good. But she's like, I just enjoy that time to just like kick back, and just chill. So it sounds very similar.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs like want to be on the scene and at this on this flight and that place and
Yeah.
that popular place. Sometimes there's value in like not talking about your business for a second and recharging, getting creative again, and sleeping and being stable internally. Like, there's value in that too. I think that other world where you know the world.
The high energy, the hustle, the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that for me, that's not helpful for the business at all. Like, the business does not move when I do stuff like that. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, it's true. That's definitely one of those when to say no things, and it's okay if you have to say no. Um, you just can't
yeah,
say yes to everything, and it can be draining. I see some people who I'm impressed by the amount of travel that they're able to do, because travel for me can be draining.
hmm,
And I'm just like back to back to back. And I'm impressed, but I'm like, I hope you're taking like a spa day in between or
yeah,
taking some time, because wow. But what's next for Buttered? I know you came out with some travel size, I think it was like the sample size.
yeah. I have it here with me, but yes, the itty bitty packs. They're
Yeah, so cute.
so
What else next? What's going on?
yes. Okay, so September, we're coming out with a new collection. This is our first scent in 2.5 years. And actually, yeah, like, first we had a limited scent, but this one is here to stay, and I'm very, very excited about this launch. um and yes, I just launched at North Carolina A&T, so if you're watching this back and a student, feel free to go on campus and shop us in the Element store. What else is next? The retailer that I hinted in the DC area, I can't say, but I'm very excited launching there. So Make sure you follow me in Buttered to see the new launch. And what else? Outside of that, we're just preparing for holidays and making sure everything's up to par and it's stocked. And yeah,
Yeah,
that's all.
that's awesome. Well, congratulations on the new launches. That's awesome and fun. And I know everybody's going to be excited for the holidays. I'm really hopeful because it's going to be post-election. So
Yeah, you're saying that
energy.
body impact business.
Yeah, it's I was watching her this morning. Well, it aired yesterday, but I saw some of the clips and I was like, "Oh, I got to sit down and watch the whole thing." So this morning I watched the Oprah and
Mm,
Harris like town hall thing that they did. And I know one of the things she wants to do is a $50,000 tax credit for new businesses. I don't know if that's going to be new businesses that are formed after
mm,
um, or within a certain period of time. We'll see. But I know that is good news to hear either way. And then the states, different states have the SSBCI
mm.
programs funding, and so I know that's been a resource for us. Just and I think you can have multiple SSBCI funding sources.
Mm.
In Louisiana, I think that we're limited to up to three,
Oh,
and them can be out of state. So, and that's a federal program that trickles to the states, that trickles to the new businesses or existing businesses. So there's stuff out there, but yeah, we have to, I think, just keep doing our thing. Like at the end of the day, there's always going to be something going on, some
yeah.
adverse energy from somebody somewhere, but we're doing our thing. I think we should all be very proud of ourselves. Like we're hanging in there. The economy is what it is. COVID did a lot.
Mhm.
Um, so we got recovery to do as an economy, but I think small businesses are so important. Startups are so
Yeah.
important, and Black founders are so important. So,
Thousand,
and we're stay.
thousand percent.
So where can we follow you, and then we'll let you go.
Yes, so you can follow me at Brittany Rhi, RHI, at my personal account. You can follow Buttered Body Care, Buttered Body Care on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff. And then if you want to shop us, you can head to butteredbodycare.co.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Brittany. Congratulations on everything that you've done and everything to come.
Yeah.
And we'll be looking out for each other. I know we're in the chat group. I was just telling another founder yesterday, I was like, yeah, we have our support groups. So
Yeah.
if I need anything, I know I can call folks for help or ask for help. So I'm always that resource as well if there's anything I can ever do.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm always here. But thank you so
Thank
much and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend.
you. Thanks for
Of
having me. Enjoy your Friday.
course. Of course. All right. Talk
Talk
soon.
soon.
Bye. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.